If you couldn't tell already, I highly recommend this game for SpongeBob fans and 3D platformer junkies from the 2000s. I'm hoping someday we get a DLC expansion for this game, but I do not know how likely it is, as Purple Lamp just released a remake of Epic Mickey.
4 to 6 days later.
Well, that came sooner than expected. Hello, humans, demons, and whoever you are. Livius here. The SpongeBob movie is regarded as a classic, and for good reason. It's one of the best animated movies of the 2000s, and best movies based off a TV show. Thanks to the beautiful 2D animation that blends live action at the end, hilarious writing from start to finish including the memes, and a thought-provoking message about maturity that's still timeless to this day. This movie is very special to me because the SpongeBob movie alongside the original Toy Story were some of the first movies I've ever watched. But enough about that. Does anyone remember the SpongeBob Movie game? The SpongeBob Movie game is a 3D platforming collectathon. Developed by Heavy Iron Studios, the creators of Battle for Bikini Bottom. Released 1 week before the actual movie came out on October 27th, 2004, with critical acclaim for a movie tie-in game at the time. The game was even described as a full-blown AAA platformer by Play Magazine. However, over time, the game has gotten a lot more mixed opinions, with either people loving this game, saying it's better than Battle for Bikini Bottom, or thinking it's mediocre at best, and some people wanting a remake of this game. And since there was a new SpongeBob movie that came out, that fixes the mistakes of a previous SpongeBob movie, not to mention there's going to be a new SpongeBob movie coming out soon, it's also the 10th anniversary of another SpongeBob movie, and also the 5th anniversary of another SpongeBob movie, but we don't talk about that one. I just think it's the perfect time to review the SpongeBob movie game. Also, thanks to the new game potentially coming out this year, I'm in the mood to review a SpongeBob game. Now, with all that being said, let's take a look at the game that's considered a sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Livius, you said the Cosmic Shake was a sequel to Battle for Bikini. Wait, why do you have a shotgun?
Well, it's not really a sequel, it's more like a spiritual successor. People just call it that because they have similar gameplay, and it was made by Heavy Iron Studios. The game story is about SpongeBob dreaming about becoming the manager of the Krusty Krab 2, only for Squidward to take that role. Meanwhile, Plankton uses Plan Z to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula by stealing King Neptune's crown and framing Mr. Krabs. So it's up to SpongeBob and Patrick to get King Neptune's crown within 6 days. While they were gone, Plankton has successfully stolen the Krabby Patty secret formula and taken over Bikini Bottom. A pretty faithful adaptation of the movie, but there are some differences. For example, Plankton's Buckethead minions, the main enemies of the game, came sooner than expected. In the original movie, they took their time with that side plot, as they were introduced halfway through the SpongeBob movie, and instead of freeing their minds thanks to Goofy Goober Rock, SpongeBob and Patrick just kill them.
These just ooze macho.
Light as a feather, but heavy as a brick! You can go now. Out you go!
No more baby!
Another example would be the game's objectives, like destroying Plankton's radio towers and televisions, to convince other sea creatures to go to Planktopolis. We didn't really see that in the movie. This is a change I can get behind. Moving on to the presentation, for the cutscenes they use—
Can take you there.
Who are you?
I'm not a lifeguard, but I play one on TV.
You're not Michael Knight. As I was saying, the cutscenes— no, not these cutscenes. These quote-unquote cutscenes are slideshows with Frenchie retelling the story, being told through compressed screenshots or stock arts and renders that you see in old merch. Some of them not even fitting the movie at all. Why did Heavy Iron go in this direction instead of using FMV cutscenes? They did that for the Incredibles game. My guess is rush development. At least the in-game cutscenes look good. The voice acting for this game is also good, as we got nearly the full cast, including Clancy Brown as Mr. Krabs. The only one that didn't get the original VA back is Dennis. The soundtrack for this game does a great job at replicating the same score as the SpongeBob movie, but having more variety, with country, heavy metal, orchestral, and more. Here are some of the best tracks. gameplay is almost a carbon copy of Battle for Bikini Bottom, but for those who never played it, I'll do my best to explain. SpongeBob has a spin attack where once upgraded can reflect enemy projectiles, a uppercut that when you upgrade it becomes a bomb, also it's a reference to I'm your biggest fanatic. A sponge ball that looks like a normal bowling ball, however it becomes an electric projectile that does massive damage. Wall jump, bungee jump from hooks, a reference to Hooky, and a sonic wave guitar which becomes a homing rocket. Patrick has the same spinning attack as SpongeBob, a throw attack that once is upgraded becomes broken, a ground pound attack called the smash, swinging on ice cubes with his tongue, and the best move Patrick has not only in the movie game but in every SpongeBob game ever, the cartwheel. This not only makes Patrick go faster, but also can damage enemies too. This is just a great move to use. You can swap between SpongeBob and Patrick thanks to the portal potty, but if you play Battle for Bikini Bottom you'll notice the lack of Sandy. Sadly Sandy had to be cut because she had a minor role in the SpongeBob movie. However, fun fact, there was a deleted scene featuring Sandy.
Acorn bombardment. Send backup. You'll never stop the squirrels!
I just want to point it out because I thought it was neat. The levels are divided by 3 different camps, these being platforming, driving, and sliding stages. Starting from best to worst, we have the on-foot platforming levels, which now that I think about it, are very similar to the Cosmic Shakes levels, as they are both linear compared to Battle for Bikini Bottom. Get from point A to point B, using the moves you just got, doing other side objectives, having an enemy wave here and there, and finding secrets along the way. It's essentially the same formula. There are 6 platforming stages, 11 if you count the bosses and tutorial level. I can safely say that these levels are where the games shine. They're fun to play, got a great amount of exploration, and faithful to the SpongeBob movie. But keep in mind there's a difficulty spike around Planktopolis. There are side challenges including a combat arena challenge for SpongeBob, a floating block challenge for Patrick, and SpongeBall challenge. These challenges are fun side missions that I wouldn't mind doing again. The bucket-headed enemies are not only fun to fight, but their models can also be swapped out for Goofy Goober employees to bikers from the Thug Tug. That is honestly just a nice detail. Not just that, but the character idle animation can change to being drunk after a hangover, to wearing fake mustaches. And there's even alternate costumes for both SpongeBob and Patrick, thanks to these green treasure chests, which unlocks extras like alternate costumes, sound packs, concept art, and even trailers from the SpongeBob movie. These treasure chests are definitely worth going out of your way for. The other collectibles are Goofy Goober tokens. Unlike the treasure chests, they are mandatory for level progression. More on them later. The bosses are a pushover, as they feel too easy, they don't last long enough to leave an impact, and there's only 4 of them, with 2 out of the 4 of them being Dennis, and it's the same fight. The only exception would be the final boss, King Neptune. More accurately, King Neptune under Plankton's mind control, because unlike the last 3, he's an actual challenge, where you have to avoid a flamethrower attack and shockwaves, while you're flipping tables to reflect his laser. It's surprisingly hectic, but in a good way. Best of all, Goofy Goober Rock plays at the end, which I will not play because copyright is a bitch. Up next are the sliding levels, with 3 in total, these being destroying towers in the desert, getting to the bottom of the trench, and Shell City with the Cyclops in the background. These levels are high adrenaline, fast paced, and really fun the first time you go through them casually. And lastly, the Paddy Wagon driving stages, with 4 in total consisting of Bikini Bottom twice, the driveway of the Thug Tug, and this Goofy Goober dream sequence that never happened in the movie. The controls here feel very finicky, sluggish, and the hitbox for the Paddy Wagon is really janky, making it very hard to avoid obstacles and crashing into walls. While chasing the Goofy Goober, it could get really frustrating when you're having to avoid ice cream that will damage the car, while having to follow the Goofy Goober and not lose him, or speeding through the second lap at Bikini Bottom, navigating through obstacles that will block your path. It can get infuriating sometimes. Not to mention these can drag on, with the Thug Tug in particular could be finished in 2 laps, however it was padded out with a ramp just to get the last key. And they can get even worse for the additional Goofy Goober tokens. Alright, I've been holding it back for far too long, let's get this over with. Okay, so the time challenges are fun. They give you enough time to complete the driving or sliding stage, so they're not necessarily the problem here. But what would be considered the problem is those goddamn motherfucking pieces of shit ring challenges! They seem like your normal ring challenges at first, but don't let that fool you, because they only show 1 ring at a fucking time! You don't even know where to fucking go now, and by the time you find the next ring, if you're too slow, the ring will start to disappear, and you'll have to start the whole fucking thing over again! The ring challenges also extend to the platforming stages, and they do this but here no worse! Because now you have to dodge enemies and crates, and if you hit a single one of them, you have to start the whole thing all over fucking again! And you think these are optional? Fucking no! You need to get some of them in order to get those fucking goofy goober tokens! If the critic that couldn't even get past this part of Battle for Bikini Bottom played this game, he would call this game the Dark Souls of SpongeBob! So anyway, you bring 50 goofy goober tokens to Mindy so that she can bring back the paddy wagon because... Wait, how did Mindy bring back the paddy wagon? It was never used again after the encounter with the fogfish, not counting the dream sequence. And no, seriously, how could Mindy bring it back? I highly doubt it was mermaid magic. You know what? I don't even care anymore. We're almost at the end anyways. We go to the Krusty Krab 2, bring King Neptune's crown back, but he's being controlled by Plankton. We destroy the Buckethead that's on King Neptune. Plankton gets arrested. Mr. Krab is unfrozen. SpongeBob learns that he's a kid at heart. And Frenchie tells us to go fuck off while we wait for Sponge out of water.
We must stop and wonder, how long until the sequel? Depends on the box office. Now go outside and get some sun. You look awful pale.
The SpongeBob Movie game is a game that I have mixed feelings on. While I can appreciate Heavy Iron's dedication to making the SpongeBob Movie work as a video game, but for every fun and challenging platforming levels, there's an annoying vehicle level right around the corner. For every great song in the soundtrack, there's a terrible slideshow FMV cutscene. For every fun treasure chest you find, there's an annoying Goofy Goober token requirement. In other words, this game takes one step forward, one step back. I wouldn't call it a bad game, but it's far from the best. And I would only recommend it for hardcore SpongeBob fans. With all that being said, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And remember, if you want to succeed in life, you gotta make a deal with